All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Jessica from the Career Center, and today we have a career meetup entitled Your Path to a Sustainable Career, Insights from UNC Charlotte's Sustainability Office. And before I begin, I wanted to ask everyone if you are able to please turn on your camera. We want to show Kai that we're here and present, and it's a lot more engaging when you're showing your face. So if you're able to do that, that would be great. And today's session will be recorded. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. This meetup is going to be led by Cai Fox from the Sustainability Office, and he will share his professional journey, offer some practical insights on how to launch a career in sustainability. And so I am going to let Kai take it away.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. As Jessica said, I am Cai Fox. I am the assessment coordinator with UNC Charlotte and the Sustainability Office. So, what I do on a day-to-day basis is I look at the sustainability performance of the university, and I help us report it, track it, and use those insights to help us make strategic decisions on how do we move forward as a university in sustainability. And so, first thing I wanted to do is talk about our office as a whole and the background of everybody in our office. So, as you can see, there's all different kinds of academic backgrounds in our office, from physics to my degrees are in business management, sustainable business, and then I have a master's in environmental sustainability. But based on what you can see, even just of our small office of 5 employees, there's a very broad and diverse background in sustainability. And so even if you think, oh, you need an environmental science degree to be in sustainability, that's not necessarily the case. And even when you look at it on a larger scale, so this is data from the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. And this is over nearly 400 respondents and all of their different academic backgrounds and in sustainability. So all of these people work in sustainability, but as you can see from there, the obviously environmental science is a help in and is fairly prominent, which we would expect, but it's not the have all end all be all. I mean, you have everything from languages and technology to education and public policy and everything in between. So I just really wanted to encourage everybody that no matter where you come from, no matter what your background is, you have the opportunity to work in sustainability and to integrate it into whatever job you have in the future. And you also don't need that master's degree, doctorate to work in sustainability. So from that same survey done of professionals in higher education working in sustainability, as you can see, there's a lot of different levels of education, from everything from your high school diplomas and some of the student sustainability staff all the way up to doctorate degrees and more prominently in like academic staff. But it's not the have all end all be all. So yeah, I just wanted to encourage everybody that no matter where you are in your education, you can still work in sustainability. And so and in terms of our journey to work in sustainability in higher ed, our office has even a broad level of background. So for me and my personal journey, when I graduated from my undergraduate in business management and sustainable business, I then worked as a rental car manager. So I worked at an airport and yeah, managed the day-to-day operations of rental car. and I wasn't involved in sustainability for the first year out of school. But then after that year, I had the opportunity to transition into a project manager role in a logistics and manufacturing company. And so I managed our shipments of pools across the globe. And in that experience, I found opportunities to integrate sustainability into my job. It wasn't in the job description, but it was something that I felt very passionately about and something that I felt that was a strategic advantage for our business. And so I helped us change our packaging from styrofoam and cardboard into just cardboard that protected everything in shipment. And I used my business background to help inform decision making. And so using those academic background and skills that I'd gained in my college career to then help me integrate sustainability into my current job at that point. And from that, I said, okay, sustainability is really where I fit in this world, and I can use my skills that I've gained from my academics to really mesh the two together. And so I started applying for jobs in sustainability from there. But during that time, I also went and did an accelerated master's degree to also just show employers that I really did have acumen and knowledge in sustainability. So I spent a year doing an intensive sustainability master's. That's not necessarily everybody's journey, but that was how I then applied for this job and ended up here. Um, and but as you can see from the rest of our office, everybody's journey in sustainability has been different. From working at a Barren Wolf nature preserve to working in recycling and being a consultant for NASA, right? That there's so many different trajectories and ways that people get into sustainability that it may not be your first job, but if you're passionate about it, and you can always end up there. But finding ways to integrate sustainability into the job that you're in is a great way to actually that uh, turns into my next slide, but it's a great way to be a standout candidate, no matter. So when it comes to sustainability, hiring for someone in sustainability, one of the big things we look for is experience in integrating sustainability into whatever it is that you've done. So that could be integrating it into your job, like what I did when I was working in logistics. But that doesn't have to be the case. That could be finding ways to run your club more sustainably. It could be sustainability research. It can be volunteering. It can even be an internship or integrating sustainability into that internship, even if it doesn't explicitly say it in the job description. You can always talk about those experiences of how you integrated it in. And sometimes that even weighs better than it just being very explicitly sustainability, that it shows that passion, right? That when you are still finding ways to make it happen without it being in that job description, that really shows that you care. Um, and so, yeah, when we are hiring for professionals in sustainability, those are some of the things that we look for, as well as just a basic understanding of sustainability. And uh, for those of you that are just curious about sustainability, the definition that we use is meeting the needs of today without sacrificing the needs of the future in economic, environmental, and social factors. Um, so having that base knowledge of sustainability in any of those pillars is really, really important. And you can achieve that knowledge through your own research. You can achieve it through there are a lot of free webinars available, whether it's through organizations, because you're all UNC Charlotte affiliated, you have access to ASHE's website, which is the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Ed. So it's AASHE. And they have a lot of free webinars available to help you increase your education and knowledge in sustainability. So, and then beyond that, if you're wanting to become more specialized in certain areas, getting specific degrees or certifications can also be very beneficial to helping you progress in your sustainability career. So that can be things like if you're interested in buildings or energy efficiency, that would be like LEED certification. If you're interested in how goods are purchased, that you could get certifications from the Sustainable Purchasing Leadership Council. And they have a couple of free certifications online as well. There are a lot of different ways to demonstrate that you know about sustainability, that you're interested in it, and that you're passionate about it. And all of those different things help make you a really great candidate for being hired into a position focused in sustainability. And one of the biggest questions that we get asked is, where do I look? Where do I find sustainability related jobs? And so that would be places like the Conservation Job Board, the Green Job Board, the ED's Clean Energy and Sustainability Job List, and the ASHE Networking and Job Board. Those are all different job boards and email blasts that have sustainability focused jobs being posted on them continuously. It's a place that even when we are hiring, we post them on places like the Green Job Board just to get greater exposure and people that are interested in sustainability to see what's going on. And each of them have different categories and focuses of what type of sustainability they're focused on. So things like the Conservation Job Board focus on job postings that more focus on the natural resource conservation side, whereas your green job boards are typically more jobs like what I'm in and what the rest of our office does. Then your clean energy and sustainability job list, that has a pretty broad view and broad categories of sustainability related jobs. And then ASHE's job board is focused primarily in higher education. So if you're looking at working with a university coming out of or moving into a career related to sustainability and higher education, that would be one of the best places to take a look. And beyond that, networking is, I'm sure you've heard it a million times, but networking is really, really important in sustainability. Both because our offices are typically fairly small, and so collaboration and connection is very, very important to working in our field. And so in growing your network with people in sustainability is very, very important to getting into the field as well. So reaching out to sustainability professionals on LinkedIn and asking for informational interviews, we're a very social bunch that really love to talk about what we're doing. And so if you're ever interested, reach out to those sustainability professionals, learn about the job, learn about what skills were required to do their specific job, and that will that will help you either identify ways to continue and expand your learning to become a better candidate. And sometimes those even lead to job opportunities. And so reaching out to people through LinkedIn, Indeed, and getting those informational interviews is very, very important. And so a little bit more about the sustainability office here at UNC Charlotte. Um, we have so the way that we're structured is that our main priorities are in integrating sustainability into the academics here at the university, because obviously that's what a university is for, is to teach everybody. So if we can incorporate sustainability principles into the core curriculum and into the policies here at UNC Charlotte, that's our ultimate goal. And that can be things such as like master planning, the design and construction of our buildings, and even in the way that we operate on a daily basis. You may have seen things like our electric vehicles on campus, or even our office's a little electric cargo bike that we just started this year. And so we're always trying to find new ways and innovative ways to integrate sustainability both into our academics and our operations on campus. And on top of that, we assist our parking and transportation with transportation planning. We're constantly trying to innovate and integrate zero waste our in into our stadiums, into our buildings, into everywhere on campus. And then finally, the other main initiative is responsible purchasing. So looking at how do how do we buy things on campus, and are they meeting good sustainable development goals? Are the things that we buy ethically good? Are they environmentally good? And are they economically feasible? Are they economically sustainable in the literal sense? Is it harmful, or is it helpful in the long term? And finally, we help support the carbon commitment here on campus. So in 2021, Chancellor Gaber renewed our carbon commitment to eventually become carbon neutral. And I think the goal is by 2050. Yeah, 2050, our goal is to become a carbon neutral campus. And so we're constantly trying to evaluate and find ways to make that happen. And yeah, so um, that that summarizes everything that I was going to talk about. If anybody has any questions about my personal journey in sustainability, and questions about the sustainability office, I'm happy to take those. Is transferring work offshore to save a cost an example of sustainability? That's a really interesting question, Sharon. So transferring work offshore to save cost, it it depends. Um, I think um, there because part of sustainability is local production, right? And so um, if we're transferring manufacturing jobs offshore, but then things are having to be shipped across the globe, that it might meet economic sustainability, but at the same time it might not meet environmental. And so it's always this tug and pull, and very complicated decision making process of uh, green versus gold sometimes. And so it can be a very difficult thing to navigate and think about. when and that's where I guess policy decisions come into play. Um, but yeah, and obviously there are economies of scale and different things that help us um, like help make those decisions. But um, I wouldn't say transferring all work offshore is an example of sustainability, um, but it very much depends um, on specific areas of work that we're moving around. Um, how would I implement sustainability into a career in public administration? I'm thinking of obtaining an MPA. Um, so that's a good question. Um, so implementing sustainability into a career in public administration, uh, is that is that more policy? Um, would that be policy? Yeah. So uh, integrating sustainability into your policy, into policy would be things like um, public access to programs. It can be sustainability has such a broad um, is such a broad term that it can be very difficult to mention everything that um, how you could integrate sustainability into policymaking, but um, typically sustainability in policymaking um, is evaluating things and creating policies that protect the environment, people, and the economy. So finding ways to preserve and sustain all three and make sure that you're never sacrificing all like that all of them are a very important and balanced triangle that without one you can't have the others in a way. So like you um an example is social programs, right? Social programs are a very important part of policy making here in the US. Um, but at the same time, they also need to make sure that we're not putting so much money into social programs that it tanks the economy, right? And so it's finding that particular and specific balance in the three to that in ways that make it work, right? And so, and another one would be things like protecting the environment. Obviously, we want the environment protected and for people to have access to green space for generations and millennia to come. But at the same time, natural resources are an important part of local production. And so, how do we manage that? And so that's an important part of policy and sustainability policy decisions is how much of the environment are we allowed to dip into and take and using scientifically educated decision making to make those policy decisions on how much can we take without it affecting the environment. So there, it's a very it can be fairly complex to think about in very broad terms, but that would be the general sense of what integrating sustainability into policy and into public administration would be, if that makes sense. Let's see. Right out of school, how can a recent graduate get started on a career that focuses on sustainability and policy? Which careers, in your opinion, have the most impact on making policy a reality? Wow, you guys are asking the deep questions today. um, that's really interesting. So there are a couple of different routes that you can take to do that. There's the advocacy route, so working in nonprofits. And actually, Tanya in our office, she would be a great person to reach out to ask about that because she previously worked for an environmental nonprofit to before or policy decision making nonprofit before working here, and so she would be a much greater expert to talk about that than what I would. Um, and but let's see, folks. Um, and which careers have the most impact on making policy a reality? Uh, um, I would say, in my opinion, probably advocacy and working on like policy advocacy is probably going to have the most impact there. But there are other opportunities always in your local, state, and federal government that integrate sustainability and policy decision making. And so, if working for a nonprofit is something that isn't for you, or you want a different type of job structure, then there's always working for state, local, or federal governments, and there's constantly opportunities to integrate sustainability into those positions. And I would say that, yeah, in my opinion, working for local governments is another great way to have that almost boots on the ground mentality of integrating sustainability because your local governments are the closest touch point to people, right? And like closest touch point to integration of policy on in your area. And so that would be uh, another place to really take a look at. Let's see, I have a similar question, but with an engineering career. I'm majoring in mechanical engineering. What would be some ways to implement it into an engineering career? That's a great question. So actually, there are a lot of different ways to integrate sustain engineering into sustainability. There and a lot of it has to do with efficiencies, right? So when it comes to sustainability, a lot of the time we're trying to find the most efficient way to do things without affecting other people. And so whether that's coming up with new ways to build things or building things the right way the first time, those are always very, very important. Um, and especially when it comes to energy, water, and then natural resources in general. The, those are really important. And so, as a mechanical engineer, finding ways to integrate that into your career, whether it's civil engineering, whether it's finding building and creating a new technology to or new material to build with. There are constantly and always ever evolving ways to integrate sustainability into engineering. And yeah, how would I implement sustainability in my major of international business once I really start being in the field? Um, that's a really interesting question. And so in international business, um, there are a lot of other countries that have stricter environmental laws than what we do here in the US, especially when you're doing business in places like Europe, Japan, New Zealand. Um, they have fairly strict environmental law. And so being educated in sustainability is important for doing business in those places. Like when I was working as a project manager and shipping things internationally, um, the products that we were shipping to New Zealand when they were wrapped in styrofoam were costing us $1,000 per shipping container to dispose of because it because styrofoam in New Zealand is considered a hazardous waste, and so it had to be placed like disposed of in a very specific way. And that was something I wasn't aware of before I started doing business with New Zealand. And so being educated in sustainability can be very helpful for working in international business, um, and for understanding different cultures and different ways of ways of doing business. See, I recently graduated with my master's in bioinformatics, and I'm hoping to do more research with sustainability and ecology using my data science skills. I'm joining a community organization and doing data projects on the side for now, mainly on microbial ecology. Do you have any advice for someone looking for a career in ecology-based data science that originally has not had a background in sustainability? Well, you're doing a great job, Serena. That's a great way to start is by working with that with those community organizations and getting those skills and experience. Just like we talked about before about how do we become a great candidate, it's by doing things like that, by getting the experience and having things that you can talk about learning how to integrate sustainability ideals and into your data decision making. Like experiences like this would be a uh, great way to advocate that you're qualified for a position like mine. Um, and even more, I mean, with the microbial biology or microbial ecology experience in this, like you have very great technical experience that you can call to for working in um, water pollution, in air pollution, and there are different career opportunities in air pollution and water pollution data decision making and data analysis and the in that covers those specific things like microbial ecology and having that scientific knowledge and experience. That's actually something I don't have in my from my career is the a whole lot of scientific experience. So having that can really open up a lot of doors to more technical data analysis that goes through like testing and analysis on like quality of air or water or soil. I'm hoping to pursue a PhD in ecology, but I'm worried because of my background that universities and companies won't accept me. Do you have advice for someone pursuing a PhD in a field not in their background? That's a. I'm not super well read on how to get in with PhDs. That would maybe be a better question for our sustainability director, Dr. Lizot. Um, but um, what I would say is I would recommend trying to network with wherever you're interested in attending and pursuing your PhD. Talk with the professors and administrators um, for those specific PhD programs, um, to learn about what they're doing, If they've got interesting and they've got research that they're doing that you're interested in, talk to them about it. Ask them about what they're doing so that you can maybe understand. And if it's something that you can then demonstrate your own knowledge, that might help them even advocate for you to be a qualified candidate for that PhD program. That that's probably the best advice I have. I'm sorry I don't have greater knowledge into PhD programs, but that's what I would recommend.
And Kai, do you have opportunities in your office for maybe students to work, to maybe getting their foot in the door? Because I remember hearing that you have some students that work there, and I think currently they're working on an initiative for the football games,
We
correct?
do. I'm sorry I didn't talk about this earlier. I spaced on that, but yes, we do. Have every year we hire for our both our zero waste stewards who focus on the waste side of sustainability on campus. So they focus on zero waste events, which include our football stadium. They've now integrated into our soccer and track stadium. And then when those things aren't going on, they integrate it into some of our larger events on campus. Like if you were at iFest, you might have seen our zero waste stewards in the bright yellow shirts walking around and taking care of some of the trash and recycling and compost. And then we also do waste audits. So uh, we go around and take a look and dig through trash of and use that data that we get from digging through trash to help inform decision making on the back end of yeah, what is it that people are throwing away? Why are try to figure out why are they throwing it away, or how can we dispose of it better? So that's one of our positions. Our other position that we hire for is our eco reps, and they are more on the advocacy and education side, where they engage students. You might have seen them tabling around campus. You might have gotten a nice water bottle from them, seen them handing out water bottles. But so they focus primarily on education and engagement of students, and yeah, um, yeah. So between the two groups of those, that's what we primarily hire for, and then um, out of those workers, then in the summers, we sometimes then hire analysts that work with me and work with other members of our team um, to do different projects. We've done everything from this past summer, we used GIS, which is another great tool to learn for sustainability. But we use GIS to evaluate the bike lanes on campus. And we had them go out, measure, and mark different lanes to help us create and inspire decision making on how can we improve the bike lanes on campus. And that was just one small project that we had going on. We also did something evaluating and putting forward a grant to increase the number of water bottle fillers on campus in student academic buildings. We have students do all different kinds of things, and it all depends on the strengths of each individual student. So, and it's a great way to increase your experience and knowledge in sustainability, and have something to talk to when then pursuing sustainability careers. Are there any volunteering events with the Sustainability Office? The Biology Club has campus cleanups. Does the office have similar events? We do. So if you look on our Office of Sustainability website, we have different volunteering opportunities that we post on there, as well as any sustainability related club or event on campus. We have all of that information on our website. And so if you're looking to get engaged with a club on campus that in some way, shape, or form is has either interacted with us or integrate sustainability, we shout them out on our website, and we also shout out any sustainability related event that's going on campus. So we have, um, if you're interested in and curious about zero waste, we we have volunteers that help us after the game, not the same day, but the day after the game. They come in and they help us sort through the waste to make sure that anything that could be diverted from going to the landfill is diverted. And so we, yeah, we offer all different kinds of opportunities like that. We also every semester host a campus beautification day, where we do things like plant trees and do cleanup on campus. Um, then we also have student garden day, where we go around to the different student and staff gardens on campus and help clean them up. And it's a great way to get engaged with us. It's a great way to get engaged with our eco reps and our zero waste stewards. And yeah, and great way to hopefully learn something new about sustainability that day. Excellent.
Hi, did you see that question from Serena? She said, because she said she came in a little late and she didn't know if you had talked about your career or how you got started with sustainability. She wanted to
Yeah.
ask
So
about that.
how did I? So let's see. How did I get started in sustainability? So in my college career, like I'd grown up always being interested in the outdoors. I grew up fishing and playing in the woods and doing all those different things, but I'd never really thought of it as a career. I actually started my undergrad thinking I was gonna work in some like for either a sports team or in like for some business. But then when I um, had my first summer after my first summer in college, I went and I worked as an outdoor educator in Colorado and fell in love with the mountains, fell deeper in love with nature and saw the power and the impact that it had on people and the healing that it could bring to people. And so I said I want to make sure that everybody can have this and that everybody has the right to access nature and to be in nature. And so I said, well, what are my strengths and what are my skills and how can I use that to do what I want to make that happen. And so I said, okay, my brain works well with data and works well with business. So I'm going to stick with business. But I, luckily, where I went to university, they had a sustainable business major. So I added that on. And then that got the ball rolling. And when I graduated, then I didn't work in sustainability initially. I worked in rental car for a year. And then from there, I worked my way into sustainability a bit more by um, working in logistics and finding sustainable ways to integrate sustainability into logistics. I then got my master's and then uh, I ended up here after that. But from just to answer your question there, you don't need that background of like sustainability specifically to get into this job or get into a job in sustainability, this kind of shows that you can really come from anywhere and find ways to integrate sustainability into your job. Um, and it what's more important is that passion and understanding of sustainability than that base academic background. But for specific jobs, obviously, if you're looking to work as like go and take soil samples and like do things like that, then you're probably going to need a more specific degree to do those different things. Um, but if you're just interested in sustainability, but still passionate about the degree and excited about the degree that you have, then you can integrate sustainability into whatever you are doing. Yeah. So this was just to answer your question a little bit more, Serena. This was our office's background out of the five of us. Like we have a pretty broad background of experiences before coming here and being where we are now.
Well, I just looked at the time and you all had such amazing questions, and Kai, you went very deep and thoroughly went over so much great material, and we are a few minutes over time, so I just want to be respectful of everyone's time, and let's just give Kai a thank you so much for coming and presenting all this material, and students for asking such great questions. I will stop recording now.